Hey everybody, welcome to the webinar presentation on what's new in the Blackboard Cloud. I wanted to let you know that at this time we have migrated to Blackboard's cloud infrastructure known as SaaS. If you were an instructor who was teaching in the summer session, you know we had a different instance of Blackboard that you had to go out to access your summer courses, but the other site that had the spring and previous semester courses has now been put on what we like to call SaaS. So that is our reference to the cloud. So SaaS and cloud are synonyms of each other if you didn't know that. So if you hear us talking in instructional technology about that, that is what we have done. So before we migrated to Blackboard SaaS, we were on something called managed hosting. And depending upon when we did upgrades or what types of upgrades we did to Blackboard, we had some downtime. If we had some fixes that needed to take place, or if we had updates to the systems, we call these service packs that allow features and things to be upgraded, we had to have some downtime. And that was done by the managed hosting service, and our data center was located in Virginia. Now that we've shifted over to SaaS, we have a more scalable and flexible schedule in terms of the updates we do with zero downtime. So this means when we do a upgrade to something, or if we have Blackboard puts out more features that are available for, say, core shells or tools inside of the LMS, this won't require downtime for us. So this is a major improvement in terms of getting support and updating things such as bug fixes and getting access to the latest features in Blackboard. So some of the similarities, which are actually really great for us, are that Blackboard is staffed 24/7. So that we do have access to, in the TSC, when the TSC closes, they have access to a Blackboard help desk. And of course, you have the support here with us during the day, the normal work day, and you can submit RT tickets so that we can assist you with any questions you have about Blackboard. The physical and everything's pretty much the same. There are some features which we're going to talk about in this presentation. So a lot of good things are happening with this upgrade. So the first one I want to talk about is a drag and drop to upload files. So if you're an instructor and you create a content item like an assignment, or you have something like a blank page, or you're just putting something into Blackboard, you can now drag and drop documents from your desktop or wherever you've saved this documentation to into Blackboard. So I know this was a feature that people were looking forward to. For the student, they can do a drag and drop when they're submitting an assignment. And for creating a blog or a journal, you also have the availability of the drag and drop. So this is a nice feature that's now incorporated into the system. It's in the summer shells and it's in the older shells now. So you have this availability to simply drag and drop documents into Blackboard. Another great feature that's now available in the cloud is students will get emailed when they submit an assignment. They will get emailed submission receipts. So they submit the assignment before they had this whole thank you for your submission. They didn't get anything emailed, and you had to go as the instructor into the grade details of the grade center and the grade history to view when they submitted things. But now they're going to get access to see not only the files that they submit, they get a submission receipt in their UMBC email, and they can also go back and they can access the history from the migrades area. So if they submitted something, it's going to be available to them to see also. Not only will they get that in their email, they can also access it inside of the LMS. As a faculty member, when you go into the grade center, you can access the submission receipts. So if a student, we get a few tickets in about students stating that they've submitted things and they, there was an error or something happened. But as the instructor, you can go into the Grade Center now and you can see the submission receipts after you create your assignments for the fall. And you can search them and see when students submitted things. If you look at this screenshot, it gives you the confirmation number, what it was when they submitted it, and what the submission type was. So you will also have access on the back end for assignments for the submission receipts when students submit things to Blackboard. You can also send a reminder about missing assignments in Blackboard if you have an assignment, and we know that a lot of the time students will wait till the last minute to submit assignments. If you want to send a quick reminder, you can go to that Grade Center column inside of Blackboard, and you can send a quick reminder to those students who may not have submitted yet that they need to submit their assignment. So that's another good feature, so that you do have access to that now in the Blackboard Grade Center. Any questions so far? I'm gonna type in the chat, make sure nobody's a machine. Okay. Great, thank you. So students will see an email reminder from this in their UMBC email. The email at this time cannot be modified by the instructor, so it's not customizable yet, but still it's a great feature so that you can send those reminders, and you can see an example of that in this screenshot that students receive in their inbox. Okay, so another thing is fewer needs grading items. I know that as an instructor myself, that when we set up assignments, or we set up discussion boards, or we set up different things that our students are frequently accessing, our needs grading area of the Grade Center gets really full. Like, we get pages and pages of things that we have to grade. So Blackboard automatically displays the attempts that need to be graded, and you can filter out, different ones and how many items you want to see when it was submitted. So you see up here, you have all these different filters that are available. That way, when you're going in and you're grading, you don't necessarily feel overwhelmed by all the grading that we have to do, right? The other thing too, and I know this is important for instructors that use essays, where they have different drafts of things. Blackboard, you can now mark multiple attempts that does not contribute to grade. So I know before there were some issues underlying with that you'd have to grade the attempt, and then you have to set up the assignment to take the highest score. But now it can accept up to 3 submissions, but only the last one is graded. So you want the last one to be the final grade. And you can also use the filter again to control where the attempts appear in the Grade Center. So, sure. You're welcome. And I'm also going to send a copy out of this presentation. So if you're taking screenshots and things, I'm just going to send you this entire presentation along with the recording. Any other questions so far? Okay. Another feature is reporting improvements. So under your evaluation area inside of Blackboard, you can review a student's activity in groups via the evaluation. So I know we set up groups. We want to know if students are actually participating in the items that we have them participate in when they're doing groups. So you can see students' activity inside of the groups that you assign them to. So some of the visual changes, or we call this the user interface, the UI changes that we see in Cloud now, there are new icons. So the icons are more cleaner, I think. They're less colored, and this has to do mostly with accessibility purposes. But you will see some changes, and we do have an FAQ, and I'll actually go out to that right now, and I'm going to post it in the chat. That shows you and explains to you the different icon changes that are seen in Blackboard SaaS. And it may, at first, it may be a little bit hard to decipher between them, but you'll get used to it. Okay, icons. So here is a great FAQ that completely outlines, it shows you all the icons and it tells you exactly what they mean. So if you have any questions about that, you can go out to the FAQ. So one thing that has been discontinued in this instance of Blackboard is the course theme. So if you're a person who likes to apply different colors and things to your course, say like they had an astrology theme, I think they had like a science theme, you can no longer do this. Themes are not considered accessible, meaning students with accommodations, the themes were not set up to be accessible, so Blackboard, they're no longer available to do this in SaaS. There's no direct audio or video uploads for putting in things inside of Blackboard. We encourage instructors, because one, of your course quota limit, and two, because we have tons of presentations and resources we share with students, please use Box, our cloud storage that we have here at UMBC, to link or embed things in your Blackboard course. And we can definitely show you how to do that if you have questions about that. We also have FAQ pages on that. It just makes the course look so much nicer, and you're not taking up space in your course, and you're not having like 50,000, PowerPoint presentations available in one area. So if we just encourage you to please use Box for that. Another thing I want to mention is that Blackboard Collaborate is continuously evolving. And this is what we're using right now for this webinar presentation, is we're using Collaborate. And as you saw, it's really easy for you to log on to the session. And this is a session that's held outside of a course. But Blackboard Collaborate, for the best experience possible, we encourage instructors, especially because you will be moderators, to use Chrome. Firefox is supported. In order for you to share, like I'm sharing a PowerPoint presentation right now, it requires an extension download, and it's very easy. It's not anything nearly as challenging as the Java download that Blackboard Collaborate used to have. The other browsers do work, but the functionality of the browsers, especially Safari, is limited. So we have all these tools available inside this system. So if you have to conduct a class, say like we have a snow day, or you're traveling for a conference, you can use Blackboard Collaborate to make sure that the students, you can synchronously have the session with them and also record it and make sure that they're getting the content that they need in order to complete assignments, or just so that you're keeping up with your course schedule. So inside of your course shells, and I'll mention as a side note, fall shells are scheduled to be created mid to late July. So sometime in the next 2-ish weeks, please look for fall course shells to be created. So inside of your Blackboard course, when you go to the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra tool, this is what you're going to see. You can have access to your recordings. There's a tool available for students in the other VB tools area. You have access to simply join a room, and now the feature is available to simply create sessions. So you can create sessions where you say, maybe if you're holding virtual office hours, or if you're holding like a particular study session and you want to create sessions that become available and go down at a certain time, or maybe students are doing presentations, and you can modify the roles of the students to be presenters for that presentation if it's their particular group that's presenting at that time. So there's a lot of different things that you can do inside of Collaborate, which is integrated into the system So you can have synchronous sessions with your students, whether it's presentations or doing virtual office hours. It's available right inside the LMS. Any questions so far? I've gone through about half of the presentation, and I just want to make sure that I'm answering questions. Okay. Awesome. Hey, so another thing for Blackboard Collaborate, it supports up to 250 people, and this includes the moderators. Coming down the line is the 1,000 capacity coming soon. I don't know of any time where we've had to experience a room. We needed a room with a 1,000 capacity, but that is coming if you so happen to need that. Maybe you're doing a collaboration with, a course in another country, or you're doing it with multiple courses. So the record for later references, the download of the MP4 is coming. We actually have that, so you can download after you record the presentation. You can download it and share it with students. We have the 3 roles. So right now I'm in the role of moderator. There is another role just below that called presenter, which gives them access to all the presenting features. Like I could be a presenter right now and sharing my screen and sharing some information. And then there's the role of captioner. Captioner is if you have a student with accommodations in your course and you want to designate somebody to be the role of captioner, where they have to be fast typers. They're typing what you're saying and they're captioning the information that you're talking about. You can have up to 5 simultaneous speakers and video feeds all at once in Collaborate. There's no limit on this chat that we're using in terms of the text, how much you can have that. And they do have a backup plan if there's a poor audio connection, so people can dial in from their phones. They can watch the webinar, but then listen also on their phones. All right, is this wrapping up time? I think, yeah. The other thing I'll mention too about Collaborate that's not mentioned, and this is mostly in the presentation about Blackboard Collaborate specifically, is the chat transcript is now available in TXT format, so you can download the chat if you needed to from your sessions. You just have to make sure that the chat is enabled like it is for this session in your settings. And if you're interested in talking more about Collaborate, I think we have another session. Let's see what we have left for instructional technology. Yeah, we have one more session that's going to be available, a webinar for Blackboard Collaborate. So if you're interested in learning more details about Collaborate, that's going to take place on July 19th, and you can access that webinar information from our instructional technology group page. Okay, so some important things to remember, and this is going to apply to those who have taught in the summer and need to export their information into the fall course. Since summer is on a different server, you're still going to have to export your course. So if you're exporting your summer course into your fall, you're going to have to export and then import into the new SaaS site. If you are simply taking your spring 2017 course and you want the content into your fall 2017 course, you can use course copy. The only case where export import applies is if you taught a summer class for summer 2017 and you want to import it into fall. You're going to have to use the export import process. But if you're simply doing like fall of 2016, summer, spring of 2017 and before, you can use course copy. Summer 2017, you're going to have to export import it into the fall site. The media files, they cannot be uploaded. Please use Box to do this, and that again, so you're not taking up that space. Over the summer, we have that check my activity that appears in my UMBC. I'm not sure. I haven't checked to see if it's available during the summer. It may or may not be there. The summer content, so the current summer information, if you're teaching this summer, will be placed on our main site. So that summer server is going to go away, and you will be able to access that content information, and it will be restored during the fall semester. So it's not instantaneous. It's not a process where we can take all of the summer shells and just put them on the new thing. We have to take the Blackboard and go through some things on the back end. So just know that even though the summer courses are not, the summer 2017 courses are not on that main Blackboard shell or the main Blackboard site, they will eventually be archived and restored to the site during the fall 2017 semester. So this is an old announcement. We can ignore this. I'll take this out of the presentation. We were offline for about 7 days from the migration. And as always, this just to keep in mind is that if there happens to be downtime, we don't expect any with SaaS, please follow our group page and or we put all instructors in this BB announcements page and we send out information. So please check your emails and things to look for that. Any questions? I'm wondering why it says I have 32 slides. Yeah, okay. Any questions about anything? Okay, the next part of the presentation, it's we have about 3 minutes left for this webinar, so I can go into a little bit. We incorporated some things about Blackboard Ultra, which is the next instance of Blackboard, the big thing that's coming down from them. If you've ever used another LMS such as Canvas, it's very similar to that. It's more intuitive design, it's more responsive design. So I can go into a little bit of that for a couple minutes if you'd like, but if not, we can end the presentation here. Going to stop the recording because this recording is going to be made available and simply talking about what's new in the cloud.